Today we're gonna work through how to increase or decrease the lengths of lashes that you're using at any lash fill. So these rules apply to classic, volume, hybrid, mega volume, every single lash service. You can follow the guidelines that I'm gonna outline within this video to increase or decrease your lengths. And note that you can do the same type of thing for a style change as well, which I'm gonna briefly go through at the end of this video. So first, how do I increase my lengths at a fill appointment? So I've drawn up a little mapping for you. So we're gonna pretend this is the eye, and we're only gonna be looking at this one for this example. And let's say we're wanting to stick with the exact same shaping. So for this example, we're gonna use a cat eye shape. So we're doing this mapping and we wanna go longer at our appointment. So this is super easy. You can always go longer, which is awesome. And ideally, we're gonna have about a 50% retention at a service. And sometimes they're gonna be evenly spaced and it's gonna be easy peasy to enhance your lengths. But sometimes maybe certain areas haven't fallen out, like the second example, which I'm gonna go through momentarily. But okay, so we've had our first map, we're gonna go a little bit longer. So if we don't have this many lashes left, and say we didn't have any 10s here, then we would go ahead and put some 10s in, and we're actually gonna follow the feathering technique. If you're unfamiliar with what feathering means, it's actually just mixing different lengths within one section. So let's say our longest length section is a 10 millimeter. If we were using a feathering technique, we would do some 8s and some 9s in there as well, and we would do the same thing. So in our 11s, we would do some 10s, some 9s, in our 12s, some 11s, some 10s, and so on. But to go longer, we're gonna pretend that we're doing the feathering technique, but we're gonna put our longer lengths in. So let's say our client just wants to bump up 1 millimeter longer. So we would go ahead in our 10 sections and we would put 11s in between, like so. And then again in the 11 section, we would put some 12s in between. This looks lovely and actually offers a really nice grow out as well. And we would do that all the way along. So we go 1 millimeter more. And again, some areas may need more attention than others. You can still go in, and let's say you didn't have any 13s in this section. So what I would actually suggest you do is add in your 13s and your 14s. So you're still following that feathering technique. And you can do this for any mapping. One thing I do want to note though, is if your client wants uniformity out of a set, like that perfect Russian line or something, feathering isn't the technique for that. It doesn't, like, you can work with layers and you can use this method, but without looking at layers and just within one section putting different lengths in, it actually gives texture and a really nice grow out. So if you're looking for Russian volume, definitely watch our video on that or follow our mappings as well. But this is just gonna give you more of a texture, more of a natural result. It's stunning. And it also offers darkness as well. So again, putting some 14s in that 13 section, and then we've got our set. So let's say if you wanted to go 2 millimeters higher, you would go ahead and same thing. You could even put 13, 14s and 15s throughout as well and go through your mapping that way. And that would look lovely, and it's a really easy transition into the longer lengths in the same set that you've already been doing, meaning the same mapping. So for our next example, we're gonna pretend that our grow isn't as ideal. It's not evenly spaced at the fill. So let's pretend that we have a ton of 12 millimeters in one section, and that particular section, and in this example, it's on the ends, has a ton of lashes still attached, but there's just barely any anywhere else. And your client says they want to go higher in length, but the same shape again. So we're doing the same kind of thing, but what do you do if there's so many short lashes over here still left? So in this particular case, you would have to go in and remove some of those lashes using your banana peel method, which is in another part of our manual, or we do have other videos on it as well, but you want to definitely remove some of those lashes. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with lashes that are shorter on the outer corner and then longer in the other section. And with this mapping, that wouldn't work very well. So you'd remove some of those lashes, and then again, you'd go in with your longer length. So you're 13, 13, and then again, we're in our 11 section, 12, 12, and you can put 11s in here too. Let's say you already have so many 12s and 13s mixed here. It's a good idea to, even in your 11 section where you want it to be a 12 millimeter, still put some 11s in there. Again, we're doing that feathering technique, and it's gonna look really nice and offer a seamless transition. In my personal opinion, clients love the feathering technique. Not only does it offer more darkness in your set and just look really natural and lovely, but it also promotes a really nice grow out. So you get really good retention. If you can think about it this way, we know that we lose a lot more lashes if the extensions are too heavy for the natural lash, right? Well, if we're doing a ton of shorter lengths in our longer length sections, then naturally those shorter lengths are not only going to last longer because they're less weight, and yes, length does matter. Dimension of course matters, and diameter as well. It's very important, but length also matters. So not only is that beneficial for retention, but also the contrast between the length of the natural lashes. Let's say the natural lashes are 9 millimeter and the extension that you're using is an 11 millimeter, but there's a big contrast between that 11 millimeter extension and that 9 millimeter natural lash. So if we have a gap here, then it's gonna look like a huge jump. But if we fill that section with 10s and 9s and whatever, then it's gonna look really nicely blended, and the transition is going to be a lot less noticeable when the lashes are growing out. Next, let's run through how to go shorter at an appointment. So we already have really long lashes, but now our client decides, no, long lashes are not for me, I want shorter lashes. That's a little trickier. So it definitely takes some time to achieve this without actually removing the lashes. But in fact, you do not have to remove the lashes if you don't want to. It just takes a conversation with your client. So you can sit them down and say, okay, I totally get it. Shorter lashes are great for you. That's awesome. No problem. However, it will take a couple of fills in order to complete this process. So let's say that, again, they don't want to change their mapping, they just want to change their length. So let's say that our client has, again, we're just using a cat eye for these examples, but our client has 13 millimeter over here, 12, 11, and 10. Now they want to go a millimeter or two shorter. So it's going to look a little more awkward as it grows out, but that's just something that they have to be open to. Otherwise, they can pay for a removal and get a full set. But you can go ahead and exact same technique. So we're talking about feathering again. So say we're doing our 13s, we're gonna mix maybe some 12s in there and 11s. So we're now doing 12 and 11 in our 13 millimeter section. Again, 12, 11. And let's say, again, like this example up here, I'm just gonna draw one quickly here, but let's say we have so many left, again, in that outer corner, and then not many here. It's going to look really funky if we all of a sudden go in and start feathering shorter lengths into this section. But again, with these sections, because it doesn't have many, it's gonna look a little bit wonky. So you may have to actually roll with the style that you already have in terms of length, and put some more through those sections, some longer lengths in through those sections. Or again, you can go ahead and remove some of those lashes that are within that section to make it easier for the transition. So back down here, we're just continuing our mapping, and I don't think it's necessary for me to draw the whole thing because you definitely get the idea. You're gonna feather shorter lengths in throughout, and the whole idea is that after a few fills, those longer lengths, these guys, will actually fall out. They're gonna shed just like normal. So as they shed, then all of a sudden your set starts falling into place. So just remember, you really want to keep that mapping in mind when you're going in for these fills. And remember, although it doesn't look like the ideal mapping at this session, within 2 or 3 sessions, it's going to look perfect. And usually it only takes about 2 sessions, but again, some people have great retention, and at that 3rd session, you may have to still go in and remove some of those grown out lashes in order to make it perfect. But your clients are so understanding, and they really just want to have lashes. So usually they're okay with it, and we just wait through the grow out and just keep that mapping in mind, and then before you know it, they're gonna have those shorter lashes that they want. My only thing is, please, 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 never cut your extensions with scissors. I've seen this done before, it looks awful. We need those extensions to be super tapered at the tips. It looks crazy when people cut them, so tell your clients to never cut their extensions at home, and please never cut their extensions behind the chair either. If you're gonna do anything, remove all of them and start over. So this exact same rules basically apply for your mapping. So there's some mappings that you can definitely work with. Let's say somebody wants a cat eye and all of a sudden they want to go for an open eye, but they don't have many lashes left on the corners. It's pretty easy to go ahead and reshape the lashes, but obviously, sometimes it's not that easy. And again, you just have to go back to this example here, have a conversation with your clients, keep your new map in mind, and then within a couple of services, those old lashes are gonna shed and the lashes will look beautiful. But it is very important to be open and honest with your clients, and don't promise them something that you can't achieve. Say, hey, it's gonna look pretty silly the first couple times, but I promise you, if you don't want to pay for a removal in a full set, then just give it some time and we will get you to that shape that you want. Again, exact same method as here. You're just gonna switch it up, have that new map in mind and roll with it. And it just takes patience. But I have drawn one out just for an example. This is the hardest one to do. So if somebody already has an open eye mapping and they say, you know what, I think I want a cat eye. That is hard because if you start going ahead and putting your longer lengths here, then it just looks like a dramatic doll eye, really. And because of the arch of the eye itself, then these lashes are gonna look way longer still. You're basically gonna get a doll eye. You're gonna get a dramatic set actually, but these lashes on the top are just gonna look super long, and then the lashes on the side, it just won't look like a cat eye. So again, just explain to your clients, and then slowly but surely, you're gonna follow the same rules that you just learned lengthwise and start building that shape slowly but surely. And before you know it, they're gonna be the exact set that you want.